When you request a land survey, could be a boundary survey, could be a topographic survey, maybe it's both. You request that from a land surveyor. The building location that he is going to provide on the survey, he or she is going to provide on the survey, does not necessarily equal the building area that you're interested in. So there's a difference between the location of the building and the building area that you might care about as the person that's ordering the survey. So why do people care about building areas? Why are they important? Well, there's a few different reasons why building areas are important. Number one is most of the value in a commercial real estate parcel is in the building. Now, there are some exceptions to that. So if you have agricultural land or land for timber production, then most of the value may not be in the buildings. It may be in the land itself. But basically, every other kind of real estate, industrial, retail, office, multifamily, most of the value is not in the land, it's in the building itself. So that's why people care about, one reason why people care about building areas. And then most of the value of the building is based on the usable area in the building. So people want to know, what's the square footage that I could rent or lease or occupy? So that's another reason why building areas are important. A lot of times you will see commercial real estate is priced by the square foot of the building, square footage of the building or the area of the building. So then, you get into some interesting questions there. What is usable versus what's not usable? How accurate is the building area if you're going to use building area to base a price on? And lawsuits happen over this. So there's examples in California of lawsuits, people that buy or lease real estate and find out it's not as much room as they thought, and then they sue. So building areas are really important. So what do most land surveys, what does the typical land survey tell you about building area? So it's going to tell you one of three things depending on what kind of survey you get and who the surveyor is. Okay, so it's going to tell you nothing about building area. It's going to tell you the area of what we call the drip line, or it's going to tell you the area of what we call the base, the base exterior. So now that you may not understand what that is, so I want to explain what that means. Okay, so if you order just a regular boundary survey, where we're going to locate the boundaries of your parcel, maybe map easements, if you don't specifically tell us, you may not get any building areas at all. You may not get any building locations or any building areas. So if you want a building area as part of a boundary survey, you need to make sure that you indicate that to the surveyor. The second thing that you might get is you might get what we call the drip line exterior. Okay, so what that means is it's going to be the area of the structure, all parts of the structure within what we call the drip line. And the drip line, so surveyors use drip lines for buildings and for trees. What that means is it's the area that the rain drips off of. Okay, so it's basically everything we can see from the sky. Okay, so it's going to include the area, for example, under overhangs and eaves, right, or covered walkways. Okay, that'll typically be included in that. And most commonly, you're going to get that area off of an aerial topographic survey or a UAV orthophoto. Now, that may not be what you want. Okay, you may actually care about the other type of area, the third one, which is the base exterior. Okay, that is the area of the shape that's enclosed by the outside face of the building walls. Okay, so that does not include area under eaves or overhangs, covered walkways, that kind of thing. Now, the reason that's important is if you order a survey that's going to be done with UAV mapping or with traditional aerial, fixed wing aerial, and you don't want drip line areas, you want the actual area of the building base, the face of wall, then you have to tell the surveyor that, because what that means is the surveyor has to go out and do ground surveys to calculate that. He or she is not going to be able to determine those areas from the aerial, and so that could potentially cause a problem and a dispute about the fee. So the typical survey does not actually give you the building areas that you may really care about as a potential buyer, or leaser of property. So it doesn't give you the interior area of the building, the gross interior area. It doesn't give you the usable interior area. Okay, when I talk about usable area, it's like what a tenant could occupy. Doesn't include, you know, elevator space, the boiler room, you know, that kind of stuff. And it definitely doesn't give you the square footage that you could lease or rent. So if you want to know those other areas, you need to communicate that, right? Because that's not what you're going to get from the typical survey. So what does this mean? Like, and why is it important? Okay, so I'm gonna basically give you 5 things you need to do to make sure that you get the right kind of building area on your survey. If you care about building area, and most of the time you do. Okay, so the very first thing you need to do is you need to communicate to the land surveyor why you're getting the survey. He or she needs to know that. If I don't know why you're getting the survey, I can't make sure that you get the right type of building area reported on the survey. Okay? And again, it's not something that's easy to do after the fact, right? It involves changing how I actually perform my measurements in the field for the survey. So I need to know before I go out to do the survey. Number 2, talk to the surveyor about exactly what building areas you want calculated. So I need to know, is drip line area okay? Drip line is the area of the outside wall at the base okay? Do you need total building area? Do you need interior building area? Do you need usable interior building space? So you got to tell me what you want. If you need area on the inside of the buildings, that's okay. I can do that for you. Most surveyors will do that for you. But that means you got to get me access inside of the building. So you got to make sure that you do that. Have a conversation with the surveyor about how to get access. And then the fourth thing is if you're gonna have a surveyor measure interior building areas, you need to talk to him or her about how to handle things like lofts, attics, basements, outbuildings, right? What gets included, what doesn't. You need to know that. The fifth thing is you need to be prepared to pay extra. So the typical survey fee does not include interior building areas. If you want interior building areas, that's usually not a problem, but you need to be ready to pay some extra for that. It is typically more difficult to survey inside of a building than it is outside of a building for some different reasons. This has to do with the kind of equipment that we use. So it is difficult, can be difficult, and you need to be prepared to pay for that effort. And then the last point, number 6, is you can have a conversation with your surveyor about this. You may not actually need a survey to get the interior building areas. That may be something you can do with a tape measure and a calculator if you want. They also have little handheld lasers that you can use to do that work. And that's going to depend on how accurate you want the building area to be and how much you're willing to pay for that, and if you need a licensed professional to stand behind that building area that's provided. So, and of course, I can't answer those questions for you because those are scenario specific, right? Those are case specific. But you need to think about that. You may not need your surveyor to prepare a building area, but if it's a high value transaction and stuff is being priced by the square foot, real estate's being priced by the square foot, and it's going to be critical for you as a purchaser or you as a tenant, it might be worth having a surveyor prepare those calculations for you. So remember, building location does not equal building area. There's different types of building areas that a surveyor can provide. The typical survey fee does not include interior building area. So if that's what you need, make sure you have a conversation with your land surveyor about it.